Welcome everybody to another video on Khaldor TV. This is actually like the third or fourth take that I do for this video, and to be absolutely honest with you, I kind of gave up on it a little bit. I wanted to structure it a certain way, and it never really works out the way that I planned, so I'm just going to talk about it, and at some point it's probably going to result in a bit of rambling, so I apologize for that in advance. The topic of the video is actually everything, because right now you might have noticed that there's not a lot of content on the YouTube channel, or at least it's very sporadic. And yeah, I want to explain that a bit. I want to also like talk about what's going on with me the last few days and when you guys can expect like more regular videos again, and why that is. So let's probably start at the beginning. There's not a lot going on in the European Heroes of the Storm scene, as you might have noticed. I've done a video a few days back about the aftermath of Prague, and that whole thing is still ongoing. So in case that you haven't watched the video, basically going into the tournament in Prague, a lot of teams already decided that if they wouldn't qualify for BlizzCon, that they would change their complete lineup. And that's something that we experience right now. The Pirates in Pyjamas basically disbanded. We had a lot of teams switching out players, and one of the teams, for example, is Fnatic. They play the WCA qualifier this week with a completely different setup than what they had before. And also we had other teams switching out players, Team Liquid being one of them. There's a lot of talks about like who's switching away, which teams are disbanding, which teams are just reforming. And all of that is still going on, and that's one of the main reasons why you haven't seen like a lot of the big teams in tournaments like the weekly cups, for example. Then we had, of course, something else popping up, like the EPL, and the EPL was pretty awesome at the beginning, but then a lot of the players just said, hey, we don't really want to play this, it's not as good practice as we thought it would be because there's too many tryouts right now. You probably watched a few of the player streams and have heard about these topics. And another thing that's even a bit more important is that a lot of the teams started scrimming again, and that, of course, takes a huge cut out of that time, so the players weren't really willing to, after that, also like commit to the EPL. So what's going on with the EPL? We really don't know. It was a mixed team league or mixed individual league, whatever you want to call it. And we might see a few games happening in the near future again, or we might not. But fact of the matter is that right now there's not a whole lot of games going on that we could actually cast and also record for the channel. So that's one of the few things that's currently going on. Therefore, it's also very unattractive to cast the tournaments at the weekends, because most of the teams that are really solid and good don't really want to commit to the tournaments for the reasons that I just mentioned. They're switching their lineups, they're scrimming, they're testing out new players, tryouts, and therefore they don't really want to commit to any tournaments with that lineup just yet. That is going to change in the near future, of course, and then we're going to jump into all of these weekly tournaments once again. And there's also something coming up in the near future with like tournaments that I'm going to be casting. I think the announcement is going to happen at some point this week, maybe at the beginning of next week. Whenever that's going to be, I can already promise you we're going to have a lot of additional content being set up. Then, besides that, we also have a few personal things. I'm not going to lie to you guys, not going to Prague and not going to BlizzCon, of course, was a pretty big demotivational aspect as well for me, because, well, I kind of put 1.5 works of effort into the esports scene, especially in Europe, and not going to either one of these tournaments was a bit demotivating. So I was like sulking for a couple of days, but don't worry, we're going to cast a lot of stuff. Overwatch is also coming out, and I'm definitely going to give the game a shot and have a look of if we can maybe cast a couple of games at that. Doesn't mean that I'm going to abandon Heroes of the Storm, don't worry about that. I'm definitely going to stick with the Heroes of the Storm scene and going to cast that. But originally, I wasn't really subscribing to the hype for Overwatch just yet. Pally was always trying to get me to play more games every single time we were at an event. Now we just met at Prague again, and well, we played a couple of matches, and I have to admit that when I played with Trollden and also with Pally, I finally knew a bit of what I was expected to do, and I'm kind of getting a bit hyped about the game. Maybe not like super serious hype just yet, but I'm definitely gonna give the game a fair shot. So that being said, there's a lot of other stuff going on. That's basically one of the main topics that I wanted to talk about. I mentioned in the introduction of one of the videos just recently that my bike was stolen. And you might know that I bought that bike like 2 months back, so I was pretty happy about it, because when I buy something like that, it's usually like a huge, like long process for me. I'm just like trying to find the best option of what I can get and what I should get, and then at the end I finally commit, and I'm happy with my decision. And then 2 months later, I decide for the first time in like months to go to the cinema, lock my bike, and bam, it's gone when I come back. Which was actually kind of a bit weird, because right before we went into the movies, we were at a cafe, and the guy next to our, at the other table, like next to us, his phone was stolen while we were there, and we were like talking about like how it's becoming a big problem, and especially in like in the city where I live in, that like everything is kind of stolen and nothing is safe anymore. And yeah, then you go to the movies and you come back and your bike's stolen. So from the way that is currently working out, it looks like the insurance might actually, yeah, come up for that, which would be amazing. I don't have the money yet, but from what they told me is that they actually, like, that the bike was actually insured, something that I wasn't even aware of. So if all of that goes through, I get the money for the bike back. I bought myself a new bike yesterday, so the last few days I've basically been going to the police for the incident report and all that stuff. I was talking to the insurance and to whatnot. And yeah, I bought myself a new bike. So I have a new bike. I bought it yesterday. It's right now in the cellar. I am still waiting for a new lock that should arrive like tomorrow. I'm also going to go this week to the WCA qualifier. It's an open qualifier that takes place, and I'm going to cast that whole thing with Tetcher, but not at home, but I'm going to go for to Berlin for that. And yeah, that being said, that's also going to be, of course, like taking another couple of days. Also, I finally found the time to put some work into my apartment. I guess I kind of promised you guys like a year ago that I would, when the apartment is ready, do a bit of a tour. But ever since then, it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but I've always been super, super busy. And when I wasn't busy, I couldn't really be bothered to put a lot more time into the apartment. So I was missing quite some furniture, and now I have like 2 new TVs. I have like one for my bed. Basically, like I don't buy couches. I hate couches. Like a couch, I don't really like it, or a sofa, because the problem is it always ends up at just being a dump for my clothes, right? And I hate that. So it doesn't really do anything for me. So usually I end up buying myself a huge bed instead, and then like mount, if I need one, a TV at the other end. And that's exactly what I did now finally. And also, I was kind of tired of just looking at that tiny tablet every time that I was doing cardio on my bike. And yeah, therefore I bought myself now, like, I think it's a 22-inch TV. Like, it's not really a big one or anything, just something that gets me through the cardio sessions. Because I have to admit to you guys, if I don't have a TV or like anything to watch there, I'm just counting the seconds, and then I'm off that bike within 5 minutes. So I need something so I can like watch Twitch, watch like a movie. It doesn't really matter. I finally set that up as well. I bought new furniture now too. It should be delivered within this week before I leave. And I had a couple of things, just like quality of life improvements, for example. Just stuff to hide cables, you know. I mean, if you look at my studio, if you look at my living room, there's like cables everywhere, and it is really a pain. So I bought one of these. I have actually no idea what they're called in English. Yeah, but some of these things that just like bundle them together and hide them a little bit, and that is going to be like all that tiny stuff that just happens. I've been doing that within the last few days, and I'm still in the process of doing that. So that was a big part, and yeah, also one of the reasons why the content was a little bit more sporadic. So I guess to sum it up, first of all, I was just super busy with all the crap that was going on, and then also I was a bit demotivated after Prague, and now, of course, me not going to BlizzCon, which I basically know at this point, of course. And yeah, all of that coming together just, and with a lack of content too, just resulted in there not being as many videos on the channel as supposed to. Oh, there's another thing, by the way, as well. Rambling, right? I told you. I finally went to the doctor again because of my shoulder issue, because that was another thing. I couldn't even go to the gym, and that usually gets me... It gets me in a pretty foul mood. Like, I get pretty annoyed when I can't work out. It's not really about the workout itself, it's just about, like, me doing something, you know, like, being active, doing sports. And I just, like, said, hey, until I'm, like, done with all of that, like, doctor appointment, all these doctor appointments for my shoulder, I should probably take it a bit easier. So, yeah, I finally did the MRI and got the results, went to the doctor, and this time I went to a different doctor. So, the way that this worked, originally a doctor was recommended to me. I was trying to get an appointment. The problem is that the guy was on a holiday, so I ended up with another doctor that was working in the same clinic, and that was the guy that I could not stand for the life of it, because like I think you remember the story. If you don't, I'm gonna sum that up real quick. I went into that room and I already had a bit of an idea of what was going on, alright? I mean, like, I'm working on my computer like 10 hours a day at least, and if you're observing, if you're doing all of that stuff, usually you put a lot of pressure on your mouse, and I was pretty sure that at least part of what I had with my shoulder was a bit of a problem with my work environment. And right after that first appointment, I actually changed everything at my studio. Like, I lowered the table, I put like one of these cushions on my chair as well, so that I sit a bit higher, that the angles are a bit better, 90 degrees everywhere. I got myself one of these vertical mice instead of like the normal one that I use now for at least the work aspect, if not for the gaming as well. And yeah, so I had a bit of an idea what was going on. And at the same time, of course, I was also sure that it could have done something like with sports in general. But I come into that room and I tell all of that the assistants at the desk, right? And she passes it on to the doctor. So I go into that room and the guy comes in and he looks at me and he is like, "Oh yeah, it's definitely because of the gym. How much do you lift?" He actually asked me that, and I understand why. I mean, like, if I'm one of these guys that does like the one max reps the entire time and goes completely haywire with the weights, then of course, like, an injury is basically what you would expect. But what I hated about this guy is just like he came in and he immediately labeled me. He didn't even talk to me. That douchebag just came in, looked at me, and without like having a discussion with me, listening to anything that I said, all right, that's only because of the gym. You probably screwed up there. And God, I hated his guts. I was so mad. I was just like, really? You're not even going to talk to me? You walk in, you haven't done anything yet, and that's what you come up with. So, yeah, basically, I didn't like that guy at all. So I got my MRI finally, and that's basically the only thing that he did in the end. He was just saying, like, you need an MRI. And I'm like, no shit. You want me to do an MRI? All right. You want to actually look at what I have? Okay. So I got the results, and this time I get the appointment at the doctor that I originally wanted to go to. And I talked to the guy, and hey, guess what? First thing that he says is like, well, you got the MRI. That's all right, but don't think we actually needed that. Yeah, so that's 500 euros down the drain right there. And he basically just told me that I have like a little bit of an injury. It's like pretty common. I'm not going to go into the details here right now, but apparently it's like super common. He himself had it twice already on both of the shoulders. It can be a little bit annoying. Usually it's expected to last for like a few months. Could take up to a year until it completely disappears. It depends a bit from person to person. But there's nothing you can do about it, basically. So there's certain movements that I should avoid, but I can still do sports. I can go to the gym again, and I just like have to trial and error a bit with it, and just I should still stay active. So that's basically the bottom line. Do your thing, be a little bit careful with certain movements, which he told me, and he's just said like, yeah, it's a little bit inflamed. It's gonna stay for a while. It's not gonna be too bad at this point. If it is, come again. But if not, then just like do your thing. It's gonna disappear at some point on its own. Nothing you can really do about it. There's no real medicine this for it that we can use. So yeah. So basically, yeah, that's it. So all these trips to the doctor, and right now they told me do your thing, which I was basically planning on doing anyways. Either way, that's also something that happened, so I know that now, and when I come back from Berlin from WCA, as I already told you, if you paid attention, then I'm gonna be starting to go to the gym again. I already started with my cardio workout again, which is good, because I feel like pretty yeah. So all that stuff has been going on in the last few days. Met with a couple of friends now that finally had some time as well. My friends have a pretty similar schedule to mine, meaning it's super busy. And usually the problem, of course, with me working esports is that I usually work in the evenings when they have time, if they have time. And right now we finally had the chance to meet up again, talk a bit, and yeah, go to the movies, but my bike was stolen. Yeah, so there was a lot of stuff going on. I was pretty busy. It's not that I said like screw YouTube or screw esports. I'm not going to do that again. I hate that. No, of course not. I have my new setup now finally completely set up, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm still trying to improve on a couple of things, but overall I'm pretty happy with how it is. And yeah, I'm going to use the next few days also to improve a couple of additional things in the apartment. At some point, I'm probably going to end up doing a tour through the apartment. But yeah, no promises, because I know myself and probably it's going to take some time. But yeah, so I'm still here. We are going to have a ton of content starting in a few weeks. I think 2. I will have videos up before that, don't worry. Like, it's not like there's suddenly a 2-week break or something. But yeah, in 2 weeks we have there's a couple of things that start, and then we're gonna have so much content that you guys are not gonna be able to watch all of it. So yeah. Just want to give you that update, since I know that a few people have been wondering. I got a couple of tweets, and usually, guys, if you have some really important questions, you can use the Twitter account down there and ask me questions. I might not answer everything, but if I see the tweet, then you will usually get a response. So yeah, that being said, I don't think there was anything that I want to add besides that. Nah, I think I'm good. Been playing some Diablo 3 again, by the way, hardcore mode. I hate this game. I was was playing the thing to get my Malthael mount, and yeah, I got hooked again. And you might have known that, but when I was staying in Korea, I played hardcore Diablo 3 on the North American server, because on the European server the ping was too bad, and the North American server that was alright. Koreans are not really too much into hardcore Diablo 3, and I hate softcore. It's boring as hell. Hardcore is the way to go. Once you go hardcore, you don't go back. Yeah, I know what I just said. Yeah, but I'm now back in Europe, right? So it makes no sense for me to like play on North America. So I started with the Malthael mount thingy on the European server, and with Diablo, it's always the same thing for me. I grind for like 2 to 3 weeks, like completely crazy, and then I drop the game for a couple of months. That's always how my Diablo 3 experience goes. And right now I'm at the end again. Like the it's already declining. I got my Hota barb and my Whirlwind barb, and yeah, they do. What was my rift? I've been doing like greater rifts on 60 and solo I think 55 or something. So I'm not up at the ladder or anything, but like it's solid. It's pretty good. And right now that's like the time when I usually say, all right, I'm good. Maybe next season. I don't know. But yeah, I've been doing that too. And yeah, I guess that's it. So guys, wasn't as long as I expected. Let me actually check. 60 minutes. That's not too bad. I thought it would be way worse. I'm not going to edit anything out there because like I'm right now a little bit lazy and I want to get this done. It's actually pretty early in the morning. I just did my cardio. I'm going to get myself some coffee right now. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy your morning as well. I have no idea when you're watching this video, so whatever. Have a good day, I guess, and I'm gonna see you guys soon. And by the way, if you have any questions that you want to ask that not necessarily have anything to do with like heroes, drop them in the comment sections. Like seriously, guys, if you have any questions, I'm doing videos like this every now and then, and I still want to do more of these FAQ videos. And if you have any personal questions or anything that you would really like to know, then don't be shy and just drop that comment in the YouTube section, and then I have something that I will like put into a bit of an archive, and every single time I do videos like this, I can actually answer that stuff. So if there's anything, that's your chance to let me know. That being said, I hope that you have a great day. And I'm going to see you guys soon with more Heroes of the Storm, maybe a bit of Overwatch, depending if I get also, of course, a beta key, which at this point I would assume that I get, at least I hope that I do, but, well, fingers crossed, let's say. So, yeah. And before I ramble anymore and prolong this video to like another like 15 minutes with me just not basically saying anything, but just like talking. Oh, by the way, going to, how's it pronounced? The Martian? Like, check that video out, really, that movie. Really good, really good. One of the better ones this year that I've watched. I've watched a lot of crap this year. I was horribly disappointed by Fast 7. One of the shittiest movies that I've seen in a long time. When he stomps on the road, the street always wins, and it kills him. That is so dumb. It is. Like, what? Yeah. So a lot of movies this year were really shit. That new one, the midday movie, The Martian, is really good. Watch it. You're gonna like it. You're gonna enjoy it. At least if you can stand a video without like any bullets flying around the entire time. And yeah, we have a couple of more videos, movies coming on this year, so I'm looking forward to that. Star Wars, the trailer was just released. Liked it, at least. Well, I mean, it's a trailer. What's not to like? And yeah, so for the 5th time now, guys. See you soon. Have a good one. And yeah, this time for real. Bye-bye.